Hey, this is Chris with Destination Art, and today I am doing a little watercolor painting. But first, I actually decided to maybe plan out what I was going to do and do some thumbnails. Now, this was a great idea, and I got a new colored pencil pad of paper that I was going to be brilliant, and I was going to make a gorgeous, fabulous colored pencil thumbnail of what I wanted to do. But first I started off with just a Tombow marker, actually 2 Tombow markers, and my plan was to kind of do a little value study, which of course that didn't work. So it was really more of a trying to lay out everything. If I was trying to do a value study, I would have negative painted the trellis things and would have done the sky in the background. Anyway, so it was my first time attempting to do this, so learning so many things. Okay, so that was my first, that is my first thumbnail. My second thumbnail was with colored pencils, and I think it actually was useful, but it didn't have the intensity or the pop that I expected it to have, and quite possibly that's because I didn't take a lot of time doing it. I think maybe using some markers for a value study, or let's see, value study, use the Tombow. For a color study, then maybe using some markers, because I found that the colored pencils kind of took a lot longer to do. I'm actually, I don't work in colored pencils very often, so this wasn't something that I was totally comfortable with. I would even think that maybe even using crayons just to thumbnail something might be worth it. But of course I have some Copics. I should probably just use those. Anyway, so like I said, it was my brilliant idea. I was actually going to thumbnail because I've been watching a whole bunch of Drawing with Waffles, and she thumbnails all the time, and I like to draw with her and try to do the thumbnails with her and everything. So I thought it might be a good idea to at least try. When I was happy with the thumbnails and decided that maybe this was a decent concept that I could move forward with, I decided to switch over into a regular piece of watercolor paper. It's just one of the postcards that I've been using. Then I used a ruler to map out where the slats of the trellis were going to be. So when I was thumbnailing with the colored pencil one, I did try to work out the over, under kind of shading that goes on with something like a trellis. So, and that was good practice, although I did kind of mess it up one time. And then I decided to mask out where the slats are, and man, I really need to get one of those harder eraser things, or I can't remember what they're called. I've had one before, but I can't find it. That mask is very hard to remove, so I spent quite a long time trying to get it up, and it's still not all up. There's still some on the final painting. So anyway, here's where all the mask is. So I tried to mask out where flower is going to be, and mask out, of course, where the slats are. And then I also did one other kind of interesting thing that I've never tried before. I got a wax crayon, so I tried to do some resist stuff. So I laid down a light wash of some yellows and some greens and just a little bit of pink, so that we would have sort of the ability to save some of that stuff, so it's lighter colors, and I put it down. Then I added the wax crayon over top. And you'll see that in just a second, right? I started now laying in just some of the background green colors, and then I switched over and put in a little bit of sky. And I had to take my phthalo blue and mix it with just a little bit of magenta so that it looked a little bit more like an ultramarine blue rather than a phthalo blue, because I didn't think the green of the blue, I really like the phthalo blue, but I wanted it to look a little more ultramarine blue-ish. And I'm still using my 3-color palette, so I'm using phthalo blue for my cyan, magenta, and then a permanent yellow, I think. Anyway, so once I got all that in there, I let it dry, And then I went in with my wax crayon and started just trying to draw in some leaf shapes and a couple squiggles here and there to represent flowers. The flowers are where I laid down the yellow and the pink, and then once that was done, so I had painted it with a lighter color, then used the wax crayon to draw on there, and then I went back in with some darker colors to lay in the next layer of the painting, and you'll see me doing that here. And when that layer was dry, then I went in with the wax crayon again, and I got those in Hobby Lobby over in the art supply section. I think they were across from the watercolors, so they're kind of with watercolor stuff. So where you get the mask, that's where I found those as well. It took me a long time to find it. So anyway, then I did, once again, I tried to drop in some different shapes for some leaves and stuff, and then I went in with an even darker green for that back corner and just tried to darken everything to sort of make that corner disappear, kind of, you know, how you do. Anyway, there you go, yep. Just trying to add more darks. So the idea was to use mask and this wax crayon to help save some of the lights. My big challenge with everybody's big challenge with watercolor is negative painting and getting your darks where they're supposed to go. And I'm still struggling with that a little bit. So anyway, these are just some techniques that I was playing around with tonight. If you wanted to do that, I would highly recommend it. It's totally fun. And I think experimenting with it more, I can come up with a few more ideas. Then it took me forever, like I said, forever to remove the mask. And when I did remove the mask, then I decided to add in some color for the flowers and paint the shadows on the trellis. And as I said before, there was the over-under part. For some reason, my brain, I usually do really good at visualizing stuff like that, but this evening it just took me a second or two, and I did actually screw up a couple of times. Anyway, then I let the painting sit for a little bit, and I decided that I really needed to brighten up the flowers because I'd left them sort of as white flowers the first time, and I thought they were competing with the slats in the fence. So then I went back in and I just added some pink and some orange and a little bit of yellow around just to make the flowers look a little more interesting. So here's the final painting, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and comment and, you know, do all those wonderful things. And I super appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day and go out and paint something. All right, bye.